Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome. Today, I want to dive into a truly profound story from the Quran, one that's really at the heart of Islamic history, the Battle of Badr. And it's so much more than just a battle. It's this powerful story about faith, about our very human fears, and about how a divine plan can unfold when the odds seem completely stacked against you. And that really brings us to the core question we're going to explore today. What actually happens when our own feelings, our doubt and our uncertainty, come right up against a command that comes from a place of absolute truth? Well, the story of Badr gives us a pretty fascinating look at that. So every big story has a beginning, right? And this one, it doesn't start with some big, bold show of confidence. It actually starts with a feeling I think we can all relate to: hesitation. The mission that would eventually lead to Badr began with some of the believers feeling, well, deeply unwilling to step into what was coming. I mean, just listen to that imagery from the Quran. It is so powerful. It captures this raw, real, gut-level fear. You had some of them arguing against the whole plan, feeling like they were literally being marched toward their own doom. It's just such a vivid picture of people facing something that feels absolutely impossible. Now, this is what's so interesting. You can really see the tension here. On one side, you have the believer's point of view, which is a totally human reluctance, right? It's rooted in fear. But on the other side, the Quran frames this whole mission as being brought forth in truth, meaning it was a divinely guided and absolutely necessary step, no matter how scary it felt in that moment. So what happens next? This initial hesitation is met with a divine choice that at first glance seems to make things even harder. The believers had two possible paths in front of them, but the one God chose for them, well, it served a much, much higher purpose. Okay, so Allah had promised them one of two groups. The first option was the easy target, a merchant caravan, lightly guarded. And naturally, a lot of them were hoping for that one. I mean, it's less risk, more reward, right? But the second option, that was the fully armed Quraysh army, a far, far more dangerous enemy. And it was that path, the path to the army, that Allah intended for them. So why? Why choose the harder path? The Quran tells us exactly why. The whole point was to make a clear, undeniable statement. Think about it. A victory over a powerful army would establish the truth of Islam and wipe out falsehood in a way that just grabbing a caravan never, ever could. It was all about making the victory completely unmistakable. All right, let's get into this part, because this is where the entire story just pivots. When they're faced with this terrifying enemy, the human element starts to give way to divine intervention. The story shifts from being about reluctance and fear to being about profound, unseen support that goes way beyond human calculation. And this is the turning point. Right in their moment of need, the believers sincerely, truly called out to God for help. And the response? It was immediate. It was decisive. That single act of turning to the divine just completely reorients the meaning of the battle. It's no longer just about human effort. The answer came with an incredible promise: reinforcement by 1,000 angels. But what's really key here is that the Quran clarifies this promise wasn't just about military might. It was sent first and foremost as good tidings, a kind of divine reassurance, designed to calm their hearts and strengthen their resolve. And this is just brilliant. It shows that the support came in all these different layers. It wasn't just the angels. It was a calming drowsiness that came over the believers, washing away their panic. It was a purifying rain that actually firmed up the sandy ground under their feet, making it easier to stand firm. And while steadfastness was put into their hearts, terror was cast into the hearts of their enemies. It was this complete, holistic support system. So it's really crucial we understand the instruction given to the angels in that moment. The verse mentions inspiration to strike their necks. And classical scholars are unanimous on this. You have to see this command within the very specific, very limited reality of the Battle of Badr. It's understood as a description of divine intervention ensuring a decisive defeat of that enemy on that day. It's not a general open-ended rule for violence. Context is everything here. Okay, so all of this builds to the ultimate lesson from this whole event. Because the victory at Badr, it wasn't just a military win. It was a profound lesson in the true nature of human efforts and divine will. This is maybe one of the most powerful verses in this entire story. It's being said to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but the message is for all of us. It confirms the action, yep, you threw, but it attributes the real effect, the outcome, to God. This is really the theological heart of the story of Badr.
And to be clear, the point of that verse isn't to say human action doesn't matter. Not at all. Your effort is real and it is absolutely required. But it puts success in its proper place, as a gift and as a test, from Allah. This whole perspective is designed to build humility in moments of victory and deep gratitude for the divine help that made it possible.
And so from this one incredible battle, some really clear principles come out. Courage and discipline become ethical requirements. Running away without reason is condemned, but the Quran makes a very clear exception for a tactical retreat or for regrouping. And above all, the story just cements this idea that morale, certainty in God, and divine will are what truly decide the outcome, not just who has more soldiers.
And that leaves us with one last thing to really think about. If the final success always comes from God, how does that change the way we look at our own struggles, our own efforts, and, our own victories? It's a question that can really reshape the entire relationship between what we do and what we believe. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.